What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of What's the Word, your home for all things sports. I'm your host, Sam Casillas, and let's dive right into it. For today's episode, going to take a little bit of a different approach. Don't want to dive in too much on a specific topic, kind of just going to talk about the sports world in general. It's a great time to be a sports fan. I mean, basketball going on, college, men's, and women's, NBA, getting into the thick of it, crunch time. I mean, MLB just started. Like, what a time to be alive if you're a sports fan. So, today's episode, I kind of figured, hey, let's take it a little bit different. Let's do a little bit of a different approach. Let's talk about just the sports world in general. So, one thing I really want to start off with was how about this women's Final Four? And I'm only going to talk about one game in particular because this one was a lot more close. It was a lot more competitive, and it was kind of just more recent. I just finished watching it. That's why I'm recording it right now. So, I'm posting this just after I saw the Iowa versus UConn women's Final Four game, and let's just talk about it. I mean, that was a great game. I mean, if you're a sports fan, if you're a basketball fan, that's like everything you could ask for in a game. In a game that high stakes, trying to get to the natty. I mean, that game really delivered. Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark. I mean, that was the tail of the tape. And I mean, these two teams were big dogs. And this Final Four for the women's was really exciting. So I was really excited for this game. This game definitely delivered. I mean, UConn came in the 3 seed at 33-6, Iowa 34-4 at the 1 seed. And the game kind of started off a little bit slow. Both teams were kind of going back and forth. UConn looked as if they were going to start to pull away with it. They were playing some great defense on Caitlin Clark. They held her to just 6 points in the first half. And, if you're playing Caitlin Clark, that's not an easy thing to do. She is the real deal. You know what? Let me just say that. I got to give her props. She is, doing so much for the women's basketball, the sport. And, I'm really excited to see what she does in the WNBA. She's revolutionizing the game. She's bringing so much more attention to the game. And, I got to give her flowers. She went out there, she balled out, had a quiet first half. Props to UConn. It seemed as if they had her figured out on defense. But, just when you think you have her figured out, you don't. She was in her bag in that second half. She was able to finish the game with 21 points. So, not what we're used to seeing, a little bit more low scoring for her. But, I mean, she was able to get it done. Her vision, she was seeing the court. UConn tried to bring a lot of doubles, so she did a great job of getting her teammates involved. And, that's what's so good about Clark. She knows, the floor. She surveys the floor so well. So she was able to find her open teammates. And, it was a real team effort for the Hawkeyes. Stolke had, 23 points, and that's a quiet 23 points. It goes, really low. She outscored Clark. That's going to go more quiet because Clark's the headliner. But, it was really great team basketball by the Hawkeyes. Shout out to UConn. I mean, it came down to it. And, bad officiating, I do want to say, I'm not a big fan of how that game ended, regardless of, the screen. In my opinion, I don't think it was a moving screen. I think, the UConn player had her feet set. But, regardless of that, you got to let him play, ref. Like, that just had me, hands on my face, head in my lap, scratching my head. Like, in a moment that big, that much on the line, you got to let these girls play. This is what you work down for. I mean, this is what you dream of as a kid. You're in your front yard. You're saying, okay, 4 seconds left, game winner on the line. Paige Beckers was ready to take that shot. She had Clark in the post. It was one-on-one ISO ball with the game on the line. What more can you want? And the fact that, some questionable officiating got in the way of that, I just want to say, I think these refs do need to be held more accountable, and I think they just need to let them play. But I mean, it was a good game. It did deliver. And, shout out to Iowa. They got the job done despite Caitlin Clark, not being, the main scorer. They were able to get it done. So props to Iowa, props to UConn. And I think, it's going to be a good game despite, South Carolina. They've kind of just, trampled over everybody. They're in the championship game. They just, came up with the win today. So I think this game against Iowa really is going to be good, but I do think South Carolina is going to pull away with it. But hey, we'll see. One thing I've learned is, not to count Caitlin Clark out. She can surely get the job done. When the lights are the brightest, she will deliver. So, I mean, get the popcorn ready. It's going to be one for the ages, I think. And, I'm really excited for, how this women's basketball March Madness Final 2 is going to play out. So, that's kind of my thing for women's basketball. Shout out to that March Madness, and that's gonna take another transition. We're gonna dive in to NBA, but before we dive into NBA, just do me a favor, let me know in the comments, who do you guys got winning the women's basketball Final Four, or excuse me, why do I keep saying Final Four? The women's basketball championship. Do y'all got South Carolina or do you got Iowa? Let me know in the comments your prediction. But let's make a transition into the NBA. I mean, like I said, NBA final stretch, last couple games of the season. But one thing I really do want to talk about is the Lakers. That's the team I'm really going to focus on the most. The Lakers, the Western Conference is such a competitive conference. I think, everybody in the standings, 4 through 8, is so close together. It's so up for grabs. And, the Lakers are kind of stuck at that 9 seed. It's Phoenix in front of them, Dallas in front of them. So, there's a chance for the Lakers to get that 6 seed. I don't think they're going to be able to avoid the play-in at this point. I think, that's kind of inevitable for them. But I think, if you're the Lakers, you really want to get that 6 or 7 seed so that one win gets you in. And if you lose, you get to play again. So you do get that advantage as that 6 or 7 seed. But if you're the Lakers, I mean, you're heating up right at the right time. You're on a good win streak. They've won a good amount of their last games. And, they're looking good. They're heating up right at the right time, just in time for the playoffs. So who knows who they're going to get. I think if you're the Lakers, they've shown that they can beat just about anybody in the West, but their kryptonite is the Denver Nuggets. So, I think the Lakers, they got swept that last year in the Western Conference Finals. They got a bad taste in their mouth. They want to run it back. And, I think if you're the Lakers, you got to know that all roads eventually will lead through the Denver Nuggets. As there's no running away from them. There's no, getting around them. All roads are going to lead through the Denver Nuggets. And if you want to get to the top, you got to go through the best. And I think the defending champs are hungry, that being the Denver Nuggets. So I think, they're going to give the Lakers everything they got, if it even gets to that point, But I think, the Lakers, obviously, they always have championships on their mind. They're definitely trying to get there. And, they know in the back of their mind, they're still taking it day by day. But they know in the back of their mind that, hey, Denver, the big dogs, those guys, they kind of own us. We got to get through them. So I think the Lakers are definitely up for the challenge. And, they're looking hungry. They've been playing good ball to end the season off 8-2 in their last 10 games. So surely heating up right at the right time. Like I mentioned, they are not far behind from Sacramento and New Orleans. Just a game behind both of them. So Lakers, like I mentioned, chance to move into that 6 or 7 seed. So it's still up for grabs, so much up for grabs. But like I said, Lakers can't avoid the play-in. I think that's inevitable for their future. But I'm really excited to see how they finish. I think, the fact that I mentioned in the previous episode, Anthony Davis has been so available, has been so amazing for the Lakers. I mean, just what he can do, he brings so much to this Laker team. Offensively, defensively, I mean, he has my vote for Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe sprinkling a little bit of bias there just because I'm a Laker fan. But, I mean, what he does for the Lakers on the court, nobody can defend the paint like him. And it shows when he's not on the court. I mean, the Lakers have had their defensive struggles when AD is not on the floor. And, he's playing like what we're used to seeing him in 2020 when they won that championship in the bubble. So, I mean, I think if AD can just continue to stay healthy and, continue to just do his thing and just be a little bit more consistent on the offensive end of the floor, I think the Lakers are going to be in great shape. And, one thing that's really been helping them on this last couple stretch of games, last month or so, month and a half, is that Darvin Ham, I hate to say it like this, but Darvin Ham finally woke up and he started Rui Hachimura. It's about time. The Lakers have a tremendous record when he's in the starting lineup. He adds just so much to the floor. He has a great mid-range. He can finish. He's a big body. He can defend a 4. He can switch on, defend a 5, give him some work. He can just space the floor, and he's a big with tremendous vision, so he can just space out the floor. He's a pass threat. He's a shooting threat scorer, so that length and that size, that athleticism to the Laker lineup is just what they've been missing. He's a great piece to accompany AD, to accompany LeBron. And, ever since he's been in the starting lineup, I've just been, I've been grinning ear to ear just because this is Laker basketball, And, we're still missing one of the biggest key pieces of our team in Jared Vanderbilt. He's had that ankle injury, and he's, really one of our best defenders. He's arguably one of the best perimeter defenders, interior defenders, in the NBA. And the Lakers, they're getting the job done. They're getting some wins without him. But, I mean, when he comes back, and, hopefully he can come back just right before the playoffs. But, I mean, that's just only going to add some more value to the Lakers. And, I mean, I hope Vando, he's not the best scorer. But, I mean, hopefully he's been working on that, little layup in the painted area shot. Because he's been open for some dump-offs. Hopefully he can knock some corner threes down. Because, the Lakers are great passers. They'll definitely find him in the corner. And defenses tend to play a little bit lax on him and play off more and tend to help out more. So that'll leave him open for some shots if he can knock those down. I mean, the Lakers are going to be in business. So I think if the Lakers, if you're the Lakers, all things are looking good. All things are pointing in the right direction. But you just got to keep doing what you're doing and just, keep playing the right way, keep stringing together some wins and just, not playing down to your opponent's level. Seems like the Lakers, like I mentioned, on any given night, they can beat any team, but you see them another game and, they'll play down to their competition. So for the Lakers, you just got to, keep playing hard and just, keep taking it one game at a time with that championship on your mind. So I'm really excited to see how it's going to finish for the Lakers. I really want to see LeBron win ring number 5. I mean, he's given so much to the game, so much, to Cleveland, to the Lakers, to the Heat. And, I want to see him. I don't think he has much left in the tank. That kind of ties into my next point about Bronny James declaring for the draft. Yep, LeBron James' son, freshman at USC, declaring for the NBA draft while still maintaining his NCAA eligibility. And I'm going to talk more about that. And, he did enter the transfer portal, so he is looking elsewhere from USC. He had that year under his belt coming off the bench. So he's deciding to take his talents elsewhere. I had my Mike Tyson shirt on, so I had to, do my best impression. But he's looking to take his talents elsewhere and, just get a change of scenery. But, it was an interesting decision. I'm not going to lie. When I got the alert that Bronny was declaring for the draft, I was like, oh, man, you know what? As much as I'm rooting for him, as much as I think he can ball and he's a great athlete, I just don't think it's his time yet. I think, just take a backtrack. All this kid's been through. I mean, he's been in the spotlight since he was born. He carries his father's last name. I mean, he carries his father's name. His name is Bronny James. That's enough pressure in itself. So this kid's been in the spotlight since he was born. He went to Sierra Canyon, now at USC. I mean, this kid had he had heart failure. He collapsed on the court just months ago. And now he's playing basketball, and he's doing his thing. He's back on the court. Just the fact that he's alive, that's a thing in itself. So, I mean, I think, as much as I want to see him succeed, I think he just needs to take his time a little bit more and just get some more seasoning on him. And I think, I'm excited to see where he ends up if he does decide to go somewhere else, Maybe he's just kind of window shopping, see what he can get. But, I mean, who knows? If he goes to another team, he can develop more of a different role. And who knows, that can benefit him even more. But I'm really excited to just see this kid forge his own path. He carries so much weight on his shoulders. His father, the all-time leading scorer in the NBA, arguably one of the best players to ever touch a basketball. And I mean, this kid carries so much weight on his shoulders. So I'm excited to see him just carve out his own path and continue to do his own thing. Just know, Bronny, that I'm rooting for you. I know he's tuned in on What's the Word. But, Bronny, I'm rooting for you, and I'm excited to see you forge out your own path. But, I do think this, NBA draft, him, declaring for the draft is just kind of like a test run, I don't think he is going to do it. I don't think he's going to get drafted. And, I don't think any team is looking to draft him. But one thing, you do got to keep in your mind is, like, they're kind of, looking at Bronny. If you get Bronny, you get LeBron for, 1 year, whatever he has left in the tank. He's made that clear that he wants to play with Bronny. So, if you're a team, you're a GM, you got to think, hey, maybe, James isn't the best. Maybe we can take a chance on him, just get him for a year, send him down to the G League maybe. But you got to think you can get the best player ever. He still has definitely something to give in the tank if you get him for a 1 year. So, I mean, that's also a scenario that can play out. But I think if you're Bronny, you're just dipping your toes in the water. You're trying to see, what teams will throw at you, how teams are going to rate you, and just kind of see where you fall, in terms of other people in your class, in that draft class. So I think it is just a test run. He played it the right way, still has all his eligibility left, and, he is in that transfer portal. So we'll see. Only time will tell for Bronny James, but I'm really excited for the kid and excited to see just what he does for himself. But that's going to take me to my next transition. So no more hoops. We'll leave that, over there. Let's talk about baseball. Yep, it's the best time of the year for the next 6 months or so until October. Nonstop baseball. So let's talk about arguably the most feared team in baseball with the most eyes on them. I mean, this team, everything this team does, is under microscope. And, for the Dodgers, this year is championship or bust. And I'm going to say that again. This year is championship or bust for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And let me talk about that. They were able to win the championship in 2020, that COVID year, that bubble year. And, the Dodgers just haven't been able to get around that. That's arguably the most legitimate ring in sports. I mean, LeBron said it about the bubble in NBA. The same can be said about the MLB bubble. But I mean, the Dodgers are kind of, they have a big target on their back. They got to, this is a team who's all about championships, and, they got to get one. They got swept last year by the Diamondbacks in the opening round. And, this is a team on paper, projected to win the World Series. So, I mean, the Dodgers, they made some big-time acquisitions. I mean, Mr. Shohei Ohtani, he is looking, let me just say, he's looking much better in Dodger blue than he ever did in Mickey Mouse Angel Red. So let me just say that. But, I mean, I'm really excited to see him continue to ball out for the Dodgers. He got off to a little bit of a slow start. I think those LA jitters got to him because he wasn't in LA before. He was in Anaheim, let's be clear. Those LA jitters finally got to him. But, I mean, he's been balling as of late. I mean, 2 home runs in his last 2 games. Finally got his first one at Chavez Ravine. So that's really nice to see. Hopefully he's heating up. Got one in Wrigley Field the other day. So, I mean, things are looking in the right direction. Mookie Betts, let me just say, this is his year to win the MVP. And I mean, I'm gonna go ahead, lock that in, hold me to it. You guys can come back to this video when it's all said and done in the MLB season. Mookie Betts will be the MVP of this season. I mean, he is playing. He's had as hot of a start as you can ask for. Some long balls, some base hits, some RBIs, and I mean, that 1-2-3 punch, arguably that 1-2-3-4 punch for the Dodgers. You got Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith. I mean, they are balling out, and, sprinkle in a little bit of, Teoscar Hernandez. He's been really feeling it, and he's been hitting some long balls for the Dodgers. And, I mean, really, if you're a team looking at the Dodgers, there's really no gaps in the lineup. They can make you pay anywhere, 1 through 9. They'll get it done. And, this is a team that's got so much to prove, and I think, this is championship or bust for them. They have so much to prove, and like I mentioned, everybody is looking at them. And I mean, everybody hates the Dodgers. If you're not a Dodger fan, like, prepare to be hated on by everything. Just look at Instagram. Like, if you have any form of social media, just, like, look at the comments. Like, anytime MLB posts the Dodgers, like, I guarantee you the first comment will be, like, a Dodger hate comment. So just be prepared. Like, everybody hates us because they ain't us. Like, we're the Dodgers. And, yes, we have, the biggest payroll in baseball. But, hey, hopefully we get some results. So I'm really excited to see what the Dodgers do with, a little bit of extra stress. But, they've handled it well so far. Had a great start to the series. They backtrack. They started off in Seoul, that 2-game series with the Padres, split it with them. They started off opening day. Cardinals got 3 of 4. Giants got the brooms out on the Giants. That's always a good thing to see. That Dodger-Giants rivalry. They always play each other so tough. That's really one of the better rivalries in baseball, I think, in my opinion. But, the Giants always bring the heat, and, this one really delivered. But Dodgers off to a hot start. They dropped the one in Wrigley, but, I mean, hey, first road trip, so just getting the jitters out. But I think the Dodgers are looking good, and, hey, just, not to brag a little bit, but I'm actually going to go see Shohei Ohtani on Monday. Dodgers coming down to the Twin Cities, Minnesota, to take on the Minnesota Twins, so I'm going to get to see Showtime in action, and who knows, hopefully in the next episode you'll get some videos of, me chirping the Dodgers because, I love to chirp. But no, the Dodgers do have, a big target on their back, and this is a team that isn't even at full strength yet. I mean, they have some holes in their pitching. Their rotation isn't looking the best, and, they did add 2 tremendous pitchers in their rotation. One in, Cy Young candidate Tyler Glasnow, and then one in Japanese star Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And, Yamamoto, everyone was like, oh my gosh, like, they were like, oh, this guy's not cut for the MLB. He got rocked in the Seoul series. But it's like, okay, next time he came, he was in the States, he balled out. So it's like, we can't judge somebody off one outing. And I know this guy, first time pitching in the majors, I think he's going to have a little bit of jitters, but I think he'll settle in. Glasnow, though, on the other hand, I think right now, the Dodgers are going to lean on him to be their ace for right now. Just until, Dustin May, he's, looking good in rehab. Walker Buehler, they hope to get him back as soon as possible. But, those are 2 big names in that Dodger rotation. So if you really look at it, the Dodgers can go Glasnow, they can go Buehler, they can go May, they can go Yamamoto, even Kershaw when he gets back. Bobby Miller, not to mention, he throws heat. So the Dodgers are looking good. They can even throw Kershaw in the bullpen. Who knows how much Kershaw has left in the tank and what he has to give. So, I mean, things are looking good for the Dodgers if they can, just keep it going hitting wise. Things are surely looking good, but there is so much pressure on them for them to be successful. And I mean, it's LA, it's the city of champions, it's all eyes on them. It's always all eyes on them. And so I'm really excited to see just how the Dodgers deliver. But yes, I do think that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series this year. And, they have that bad taste in their mouth getting swept. And, I think they know that there's a lot of noise around them. But, I mean, they're stars. They're big leaguers. They know how to tune that noise out. And, they know, too. They know what's at stake. And I think things are looking good for the Dodgers. And just one more thing I want to say, about that whole Mookie Betts thing. I think he is going to win the MVP. And one thing about Mookie Betts is he might be taking, in a good way, in the best possible way, he might be taking Shohei Ohtani being in LA a little bit personal. And let me just elaborate on that. I mean, this is a guy who came in and, I mean, rightfully so, got all eyes on him. I mean, in that star-studded locker room for the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani, as soon as he signed with the Dodgers, it was like, oh my gosh, Ohtani, adds so much to his lineup. He's going to be the star. And Mookie Betts was like, hey, don't forget about me. Hey, I've been here for some years. I've done some things, but hey, don't forget about me completely. Arguably, they didn't forget about him completely. They did talk about him and Freeman being that best, 1-2-3 combo in baseball. But I mean, Betts is saying, hey, don't forget about me. I can still ball out too. Best leadoff hitter in baseball. So that's just the last thing I wanted to say. But yes, Mookie Betts will win the MVP. And hey, could even possibly win a World Series MVP. But could be too early to tell. So let me know. Hey, I'm asking a lot for y'all in the comments. But let me know who y'all got winning the World Series. And just what do you guys think of this Dodgers team? Do they deliver to the expectations? Can they live up to the hype? Or, will those Hollywood, LA bright lights, be too bright for them? And, will they crumble? They do have those guys for quite some time, signed some double-digit year deals. But, I mean, this is the year, and you want to make a statement. You want to start building a dynasty. You want to start building a legacy. So, championship or bust for the Dodgers. They're going to win it all. You heard it here first on What's the Word. Again, your home for all things sports. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you so much for joining. And I just want to say, I do really appreciate all the support and all the love that I've been getting on all these episodes. Really, I've just been trying to get this thing off the ground and try to be as consistent as possible. I do apologize for, sometimes the lack of consistency, things do get tough. I am a student. I am an athlete. I do work. I do sports commentating. So there's a lot going on. And I'm kind of getting into crunch time in the semester. But, I do want to thank you all for being so understanding and for still rocking with What's the Word. It wouldn't be What's the Word without you guys and without your guys' support. So I do appreciate it. And, make sure to stay up to all. Make sure if you want to stay up to date with all things What's the Word, follow us in social media. Going to be linked in the description. But that's going to do it for today's episode. I do thank you guys so much. And take care. I'm Sam Casillas. We'll see you next time on What's the Word.